It started with a scream, a deep, panicked cry from the shelter yard that sent 2 volunteers running. One of them had seen the blur of black and tan fur flash past the chain-link fencing, ears back, eyes wide, jaws foaming. Another kennel had been destroyed. Another cage bent backward by sheer force. And in the center of it all, that same dog again. Rex, the one no one could get near. Animal control had brought him in 2 weeks earlier, found wandering alone on the outskirts of a burned-down property, with ash still clinging to his coat and a chain half melted around his neck. They said he growled at anyone who tried to approach, bit a trainer the first day, broke through a gate the second, and since then every staff member at Havenwood Shelter had been warned, do not enter his kennel. He's unpredictable, dangerous. But the look in Rex's eyes that morning, it wasn't wild. It wasn't even angry. It was broken. Maya, one of the new volunteers, stood frozen behind the fence, gripping her clipboard as staff scrambled to tranquilize him. The dart hit his side, and Rex staggered, panting heavily, before finally collapsing into the corner. His body still trembled long after his eyes shut. It was the 4th time they had to sedate him in 10 days. Inside the staff room, voices rose in frustration. He's not adoptable. We can't keep sedating him like this. We've tried everything. But Maya couldn't stop staring at the way Rex had looked around before he dropped, like he was searching for something or someone. That night, when everyone had gone home, Maya returned. She stood just outside Rex's enclosure, sitting cross-legged on the floor, not speaking, not moving. The sedative had worn off. He watched her from the shadows, ears alert, low growl rising in his throat. But she didn't flinch. She simply opened a peanut butter jar, placed it near the bars, and slid it just close enough for him to reach. Then she whispered, "I don't think you're mean. I think you're scared." The next morning when the staff came in, they found the jar licked clean. But things didn't change overnight. Every time someone tried to touch him, Rex snapped. He tore up blankets, shredded toys, refused to eat unless the food was left and the room cleared. But something strange was happening. Whenever Maya came in, quiet, calm, never reaching out, he didn't growl. He simply watched her. Day after day she sat there reading books out loud, humming little songs. Once he crept close enough to sniff her shoes. Then one morning everything shifted. Maya brought her daughter Lily, a soft-spoken 7-year-old girl with curly hair and a heart far bigger than her tiny frame. She wanted to help, Maya explained hesitantly, afraid of being scolded. But before anyone could protest, Lily walked up to Rex's kennel, crouched down and whispered, "Hi, I had a dog like you once. He got hurt, too. But he got better." Every staff member held their breath as Rex moved slowly, cautiously. He padded forward, head low, eyes locked on the little girl. He didn't move, just reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, crumpled drawing. A child's sketch of a dog with a heart over its head. She slid it under the bars. "This is for you." Rex stared. His nose twitched, and then he lay down. Right there, quiet, still. For the first time since he'd arrived, he rested, and that was the moment everyone realized something extraordinary had just begun. The drawing stayed in his kennel. No one dared move it, not even the janitor. During cleaning rounds, somehow that wrinkled little piece of paper meant something to Rex. Every morning when the staff came in, he would be lying next to it, nose barely touching the paper, as if guarding it, as if it was the only proof he had that he wasn't alone. Maya didn't understand it either. Neither did the trainers, the shelter manager, or the vet techs. But they all saw it with their own eyes. A transformation that defied logic. One little girl had done in 5 minutes what trained professionals couldn't do in weeks. Rex didn't lunge when Lily walked by. He didn't growl. He didn't snap. He listened. And when she spoke to him, that vicious, battle-hardened German shepherd's ears perked up like a puppy's. Word spread fast. A week later, Lily came again. This time, she brought a soft pink plush dog toy. It was a bit worn, her favorite one, but she insisted. Rex needed it more. Maya hesitated. Sweetheart, he might destroy it, she warned gently. But Lily just smiled and said, "That's okay. He can bite it all he wants. It's for him to feel better." Maya opened the kennel gate just enough to toss the toy inside. Everyone watched. As Rex stiffened, he walked over, cautiously, sniffed the toy, then, without growling, picked it up and carried it to the corner. He didn't tear it apart. He lay beside it like it was the most precious thing in the world. His eyes didn't carry rage anymore, just a haunting kind of sadness and trust, but only for the girl. Soon, Lily was allowed into the enclosure under careful supervision. It started with 5 minutes, then 10. Then she began brushing his fur with slow, careful strokes. Rex didn't flinch. He closed his eyes, leaning into her hand like he'd forgotten what kindness felt like. Maya tried once, hoping the trust extended to her, too. But Rex growled. Again, low and guttural. Not as vicious, but still enough to back her away. Became clear to everyone at the shelter. Rex had made his choice. His heart, whatever was left of it, belonged to Lily. That same week, the shelter director received a call. It was from the original owner listed on Rex's microchip, an elderly man named Mr. Holbrook, who lived 3 towns over. He claimed Rex had been stolen a year ago. After a break-in, said he searched for months, filed police reports, posted flyers, but eventually gave up hope. The fire, the chain, the trauma, all of it made sense now. Rex had been someone's loyal companion before life shattered around him. The director asked Mr. Holbrook to come in. They needed to see if Rex remembered him. The meeting was set for Friday, but as Friday approached, something about it didn't sit right with Maya. She couldn't sleep the night before. Neither could Lily. What if he doesn't want to go? Lily asked quietly, clutching her blanket. Maya didn't have an answer. She only hoped Rex would be okay. Friday came. Mr. Holbrook arrived with a cane and a faded photograph of a younger Rex sitting beside him on a porch. His voice cracked as he spoke about the bond they shared. The nights Rex kept him company the way he never barked unless it really mattered. But what happened next left everyone speechless. When Rex saw the man step through the shelter gates, something in him shifted. His ears perked up, not in fear, not in warning, just alert. He stood slowly, plush toy still in his mouth, and stared through the wire fence. Mr. Holbrook's hand trembled. Around the photo he held, the cane in his other hand barely supporting him as he moved closer. The staff fell silent. Even Lily held her breath. Mr. Holbrook knelt slowly, groaning with age, and placed the photograph on the floor near the cage. "Do you remember this boy?" he said softly. "You used to sleep right here, beside me every night for 8 years." Rex took one step forward, then another. He didn't growl, didn't bark. His eyes were fixed on the man's face, trying to connect the dots, digging through whatever fog still clouded his memory. He sniffed the air, then lowered his head, almost touching the ground. Everyone watched, still unsure which direction this would turn. Suddenly, Rex let a low, confused sound, like something buried had just begun to surface. He dropped the toy. He took another step, then another. His paws padded carefully forward until he was nose to wire with Mr. Holbrook. Then he did something no one expected. Rex sat down, calm, alert, but unsure. Mr. Holbrook, eyes glassy now, reached into his coat and pulled out a weathered leather collar. His fingers brushed across the name plate. Rex etched in brass, and he held it up for the dog to see. "You saved my life once, remember? The night I fell in the yard. You barked until the neighbor heard and called for help. I never forgot that." Rex whimpered again, this time louder. Mia glanced at Lily, whose tiny face was scrunched in concern. "Does he remember?" she whispered. "He's trying to," Mia said, watching closely. Rex paced back and forth, torn. Something about this man reached him, but it wasn't the same as the warmth he showed Lily. With her he softened. With Holbrook he seemed cautious, like a soldier trying to remember what battle he came from. Then, in a single move, Rex stepped to the gate and lay down, his body close, but eyes still fixed on the old man. Mr. Holbrook reached through the fence slowly and placed the collar on the floor. "You can come home if you want to, boy," he said gently, "but only if you're ready." Silence filled the shelter, and then Rex stood up, turned away from the collar, and walked back to the far end of the kennel. He picked up Lily's drawing and placed it gently beside the plush toy, curled up next to them, and rested his head down with a heavy sigh. Mr. Holbrook didn't cry. He just nodded slowly. "I guess you've already found your new home." The shelter staff was stunned. They had expected a joyful reunion, but what they got was something more complicated. Maya approached the old man and laid a hand on his shoulder. "He loves you, sir. But this little girl, she healed something in him that none of us could." Mr. Holbrook gave a soft smile. "Then she deserves him, and he deserves to be where he feels safe." Outside, Lily stood holding the kennel door open, waiting quietly. And when Rex finally rose again and trotted out, tail low but calm, he didn't look back at the man who once called him his own. Instead, he walked straight to Lily and sat beside her, pressing his head against her hand. No one said a word, but in that quiet, the message was clear. This wasn't just about a lost dog or a long-lost owner. It was about healing, about trust reborn in the gentlest of ways, and about the power of connection that needs no leash or collar. Word of Rex's transformation began to spread beyond the shelter. People were curious. How could a dog, once labeled too dangerous to be handled, now sit quietly beside a little girl, gently nudging her shoelaces and following her every step like a protective shadow? Visitors came in with cautious eyes, expecting a miracle or a mistake. But what they saw was something else entirely, something real. Lily and Rex became inseparable. She would arrive each afternoon after school, her backpack bouncing on her shoulders, already calling his name before she reached the gate. Rex would perk up at her voice before anyone else even noticed she was coming, and when she appeared, the tough XK9 with a violent past would soften into something almost unrecognizable. A friend. Maya watched it all unfold with quiet awe. There was a rhythm to their bond that didn't need explanation. Lily didn't ask for tricks or demand affection. She just sat near him, humming while she colored, sometimes placing the drawings by his paws. Other times, she'd tell him stories about her dad who worked far away, about how her mom missed him but smiled anyway, about the teachers who didn't understand why she didn't talk much in class. And Rex, he listened, really listened, his head tilted in just the right moments, his eyes never straying too far from her face. One day, when Lily's hands trembled while trying to open her snack, Rex used his nose to nudge the wrapper loose. It wasn't a trick he was taught. He just knew. Then came the turning point. It was a Saturday. Gray clouds hanging low over the town, and the shelter was unusually quiet. Lily hadn't come in the day before, and Maya assumed she was just out with her mom. But by noon, Rex was restless. He paced the kennel, wed at the door, even pawed at the window. Wasn't like him. Something felt off. Then the phone rang. It was Lily's mother, her voice tight with panic. Lily hadn't come home from the library. They'd walked there alone. It was only a few blocks and never made it back. Police were already notified. Maya froze. Her eyes shot to Rex, who had now gone. Completely still, ears raised, eyes fixed. In that instant, something unspoken passed between them. Rex bolted toward the kennel gate. Maya didn't hesitate. Against every rule, every policy she'd once enforced, she grabbed his leash, clipped it on, and whispered, "Let's find her." They ran. Rex pulled with purpose, his nose to the wind, tracking something only he could sense. Maya struggled to keep up as he cut through alleys and across small streets, his pace relentless. People turned their heads as the large German shepherd sped past, eyes burning with determination. A few blocks from the shelter near the back of an old bookstore, Rex suddenly stopped. He let out a sharp bark and scratched at a small gate leading into a narrow courtyard. Maya pushed it open, and there she was. Lily curled up beneath the broken overhang, clutching her knees and shaking. Her lip was split, her glasses missing, and her eyes red with tears. But she was breathing. Rex didn't bark. He walked up, sat beside her, and gently placed his head on her shoulder. Lily buried her face into his fur and sobbed. Maya dropped to her knees, tears welling in her own eyes. She didn't ask what had happened. She just wrapped her arms around both of them and held on. They stayed there until the sirens came, until Lily's mother came running, until the police asked questions and neighbors peeked through their curtains. But none of that mattered in that moment. What mattered was that Rex had found her. He had chosen her. And now everyone knew he wasn't just a dog with a second chance. He was a hero. Rex didn't leave Lily's side for the rest of the night. At the hospital, as doctors gently cleaned her scraped knees and examined her bruises, Rex lay just outside the room, unmoving as if guarding a piece of his own heart. Nurses whispered about him, amazed at how still and focused he remained, like a soldier on duty. Every time someone walked too close or Lily whimpered, his ears would twitch and his eyes would follow. He didn't sleep. He didn't eat. He waited. When Lily was finally discharged, wrapped in a soft hoodie and holding her mother's hand, Rex stood and walked up to her slowly. She reached out, her tiny fingers clutching the fur on his neck, and without saying a word, buried her face into him. He leaned into her gently, careful not to hurt her. It was the kind of hug that didn't need words, a silent promise. The story spread like wildfire in the small town. Newspapers picked it up the next morning. Aggressive rescue. Dog saves. Missing girl. Online blogs, local radio, even the evening news carried segments about Rex, the once feared German shepherd, who turned out to be the quiet guardian no one expected. People who once walked past the shelter without a glance were now stopping by with flowers, treats, and teary-eyed thank yous. Strangers asked to meet Rex. Children clutched their parents' hands and peered into his eyes with admiration, but Rex didn't seem to notice the fame. His eyes still searched for Lily each morning, and when she returned, they softened with that same fierce loyalty. Lily's mother, Rachel, had once hesitated to even walk past the big dog's kennel. Now she would often crouch beside him, running her fingers through his thick fur. She had seen what most hadn't. How this dog had sensed something no one else could. How he had acted faster than any adult, and how he'd refused to give up on a girl who'd once been just another visitor at a shelter. A week after the incident, the shelter staff gathered for a special meeting. Maya, holding back tears, stood at the front with a trembling paper in her hand. Rex has taught us all something, she said softly. He reminded us that no soul is beyond saving, and sometimes it's the broken ones who heal us most. She looked at Lily and her mother, who sat together in the front row. We've had adoption offers from all over, Maya continued. But there's only one place Rex truly belongs now. He walked over to Lily and knelt beside her. If you'll have him, she said, Rex is yours. Lily gasped, then looked at her mother, who was already nodding through quiet tears. And in that moment, it was done. Rex had found his home, not in a cage, not in a headline, but in the heart of a little girl who needed someone to believe in her just as much as he had needed it himself. Life after that was quieter. Rex settled into the routine of a family dog, though he was never ordinary. He slept beside Lily's bed each night, sometimes resting his head on her feet, waking only when she stirred. He greeted her at the school gate, waited patiently as she read books aloud in the garden, and nudged her gently when she looked sad. Lily began to smile more. She spoke louder, raised her hand in class, and volunteered to read. Her teachers noticed. Her friends noticed. But it wasn't the change they noticed. It was the dog. Beside her, steady as a rock, never letting her feel alone. One spring afternoon, the mayor invited Lily and Rex to a small ceremony. In the park, dozens gathered, clapping, as Rex was handed a golden tag shaped like a heart. It read, "To the dog who saved a child and showed us all the meaning of loyalty." But to Lily, he didn't need a medal. He had already saved her in ways no one could see. Years passed. Lily grew taller. Her voice grew stronger, and Rex, now older and slower, still followed her everywhere, even if it meant resting more often along the way. On the day Lily graduated from high school, she wore a blue dress and carried a small photo in her hand, a picture of her and Rex, taken the day they'd officially become a family. He couldn't climb the stage anymore, but from the front row he wagged his tail as she accepted her diploma. The applause echoed, but it was her glance down at him, smiling through tears that said everything. When Rex's time finally came years later, it was quiet and peaceful. He lay on his favorite rug by the window, watching the sun filter through the trees. Lily, now a young woman, sat beside him, stroking his head gently. Her whispered words were soft and filled with love. "You saved me, Rex," she said, "and I'll never forget that day." The world lost a dog, but Lily, she kept his spirit alive in every life she touched. She went on to work with rescue dogs, helping others like Rex find homes and healing. And sometimes, when the wind blew gently through the trees, she swore she could still hear the soft thump of a tail wagging behind her, because love like that, real, fierce, and loyal, never truly goes away. It just lives on in every heart it touches.